Call Allah Yahweh, by Hashem Yahweh Shai, by Hashem Kakadash, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shai Mashiach, Barakatah Yasharala, Barakatah Yahweh, Call Allah, Shalom, Shalom, Halawayah, double honor to the apostle and elders, the great millstone, pushing and teaching the truth and sincerity, and overseeing the construction of the tabernacle of David, a more perfect tabernacle. Shalom to the Akim, while Bophim scattered abroad. Shalom to the sincere believers. This is Yahweh Sat, Ban Yasharala, Ban Yahweh, coming to you live through the spirit and power of Yahweh by Hashem Shai. Give you another quick lesson. Just going to be continuing where I left off at in the prologue of Sirach, or the Ecclesiasticus, or better known as the book of Sirach. This is the prologue of the wisdom of Jesus, better known as Joshua. That word, like I explained in the last video, when it's speaking of Jesus in this sense, it's talking about the English translation of the Hebrew word for Joshua, and the son of Sirach. Whereas many and great things have been delivered unto us by the law and the prophets, and by others that have followed their steps, for the which things Israel ought to be commended for learning and wisdom. You know what I'm saying? And what he's saying here is very important, because the true knowledge and wisdom ultimately comes through following the laws, statutes, and commandments of the Most High. You know what I'm saying? The 613 laws found in the Torah, the 5 first books of the Bible, are like the precursor, the prerequisites, you know what I'm saying, to wisdom. Like if you take a college course, certain courses in college, you have to have a prerequisite. Like you gotta have a 2 years of English to go before you can take a history class, or you gotta have a couple years of algebra before you take calculus or something like that. The law, statutes, and commandments having a good foundation in the Torah, the five first books of the Bible, is what allows you to unlock the rest of the books of the Bible. You know what I'm saying? And it's just like anything else, you know what I'm saying? If you're playing a video game and you skip the tutorial, it's going to be harder for you to complete certain missions, or do certain moves, or do things that other people can't do because they didn't skip the tutorial, or because they read the handbook type thing, or the instruction manual. And same thing with a movie or a story. If you skip the first couple chapters, and you go into the meat and potatoes of the book or the movie, you're gonna be confused about the overall theme, the overall what's going on, because you skipped the parts of the book where it was showing you the setting, explaining character traits, you know, painting the whole introduction type thing. And it's very, very important, because let's say you were learning how to build put together, I don't know, a bike or something, or put together a bike, yeah. And you just skip to step 5 and skip over steps 1 through 4. It's gonna be hard for you to put. Not only is it gonna be hard for you to put that bike together, but 9 times out of 10, that bike is not gonna fully operate and function at the way it was meant to function. You know what I'm saying? And it says, whereas many and great things have been delivered unto us by the law and the prophets, and by others that have followed their steps, for the which things Israel ought to be commended for learning and wisdom, and whereof not only the readers must needs become skillful themselves. Telling you, you know what I'm saying, the people who are to read this book, like I just mentioned, like he just said, I'm gonna reread it. And whereof not only the readers must need become skillful themselves, but also they that desire to be able to profit, which are without. You know what I'm saying? For you to want to gain this wisdom, you got to understand these laws, statutes, commandments. You got to understand what's going on in this book. And that's why a lot of times Christians like to use Paul's epistles. They use it and pervert it to build their theology, and the whole time they don't have a understanding in the law in the first 5 books of the Bible to understand what Paul is talking about. You know what I'm saying? And that's why, I think it's 2 Peter chapter 3 verse 15 through 16, Peter prophesied that people are going to do this. They're going to take Paul's writings and twist them, and that's what they do. You know what I'm saying? And it says, which things Israel ought to be commended for learning and wisdom, whereof not only the readers must need become skillful in themselves, but also they that desire to be able to profit them which are without, both by speaking and writing. My grandfather Joshua, when he had much given himself to reading of the law and the prophets and the other books of our fathers, and had gotten there in good judgment, was drawn on himself to write something pertaining to learning and wisdom. So basically what happened was Sirach, you know what I'm saying? He had a good foundation in the Torah. He understood what the prophet was saying. Then he read, Proverbs, Ecclesiastes. He read through the Psalms, you know what I'm saying? He read through the book of Chronicles and stuff like that, to not only gain a full rounded understanding of not only himself but his people, his culture, you know what I'm saying? Because as time went on, wickedness was increased to a level where, you know what I'm saying, like it says, like in the book of 1 Samuel and 2 Samuel, you know what I'm saying, it speaks about how the children of Israel had gone astray from certain things, and they were getting their butt kicked by the Philistines for being wicked. And it says, to the intent that those which are desirous to learn and are addicted to these things profit much more in living according to the law. You know what I'm saying? When you live according to the law, you're blessed, you're righteous, you're blessed and highly favored when you live according to the law, because you're doing the things that the Most High has commanded you to do. You know what I'm saying? It's like just like taking a relationship with your parents. You do what they ask you to do, you get rewarded. You do what they don't want you to do, you receive consequences. It says, wherefore let me entreat you to read it with favor and attention, and to pardon us. You know what I'm saying? He's advising you to take special consideration of this book, because it's important. You know what I'm saying? It's a lot of what do they say? Basically, like that's why it's important to respect your elders and listen to your elders, because they have wisdom that you don't have. They have experience and they have knowledge through just living life that you don't have. And our generation is so hard-headed, including myself, that we don't listen to our elders, and it leads us making a lot of mistakes that they made because we just won't listen. And he goes on to say, this is the point right here. Wherefore let me entreat you to read it with favor and attention, and to pardon us wherein we may seem to come short of some words. And I want to stop right there, because when you look at the transliteration of sometimes from one language to another, if a certain word does not exist in the transliteration to the next language, they just make up a word. You know what I'm saying? And that's where you lose context at, because one word that exists in another language might not exist in that language, or a phrase that exists in the language might not exist in that other language. And it says, and to pardon us wherein we may seem to come short of some words which we have labored to interpret, for the same things uttered in Hebrew and translated into another tongue have not the same force in them. You know what I'm saying? Just like he's saying, it's not the same power in these words when you translate them from Hebrew into another language. Why? Because these other languages, they're not the righteous language set up by the Most High. You know what I'm saying? The Hebrew language is the only language, especially the Paleo Hebrew, and specifically talking about the Paleo Hebrew. That's the original language of man. You know what I'm saying? That everybody on the earth was speaking Hebrew until the Tower of Babel. You know what I'm saying? The Tower of Babel happened. That's when the language was confused, and the only person to keep the Paleo Hebrew language was a man named Eber, where you get the word Hebrew from. And only his descendants were the people to keep that original language. And that's important because, like you said, the same words found in Hebrew and translated into another language have not the same force in them. They don't have the same power. And that's important because when you're throwing up your prayers to the Most High God, whose name is Yahweh, by Shema Mashiach Yahweh Shai, in the name of His Son, You know what I'm saying? If you just focus on using his English names or these terminologies and vernaculars and verbiage that's in English, your prayer's not hitting as hard. You know what I'm saying? And just to substantiate that, go to Acts chapter 4 verse 12. Acts chapter 4 verse 12, it says 10. Acts chapter 4 verse 10. Be it known unto you all and to all the people of Israel that by the name of Jesus Christ, Yahushua Mashiach of Nazareth, whom you crucified, whom God raised from the dead, even by him doeth this man stand here before you whole. This is the stone which was set at naught of your builders, which is become the head of the corner. Peep this. Neither is there salvation in any other, for there is none other name under heaven given among men whereby we must be saved. And that's important because if the letter J did not exist until 600 years ago, these books were written over 1,000 to 2,000 years ago, and this man was a Hebrew man, so he wasn't being called by Jesus. And the book of Acts just said, there is no other name given under earth whereby you must be saved. That's why it's important to call upon his Hebrew name, because it's the only name that brings about salvation. You know what I'm saying? Let's see if I can get the scripture. Well, the book of Revelation says, you know, that the people who are being saved had no guile in their mouth, meaning they had no deceitfulness in their mouth. You know what I'm saying? They weren't attached to these English Western theologies. You know what I'm saying? And it's important because, like Acts said, there's no name under heaven given by that you might be saved. That's why it's important to call on the name of Yahushua, because that's the key to unlock the door to the Most High God. You know what I'm saying? He's the mediator between men and God. That's why you need his true name. That's why this truth is so important, because we have the names of the Most High God and the names of his Son. Now that way we have a better I'm gonna just go ahead and say it, we have a better chance than most people out here, because now we have the truth, we have the whole truth. Like he says, for the same things uttered in Hebrew and translated into another language have not the same force in them. And not only these things, but the law itself and the prophets and the rest of the books have no small difference when they are spoken in their own language. That's important. It goes on to say, for in the 8th and 13th year coming into Egypt, when the Eucrates was king, and continuing there some time, I found a book of no small learning. Therefore I thought it was most necessary for me to bestow some diligence and travail to interpret it, using great watchfulness and skill in the space to bring the book to an end, and setting forth for them also, which in a strange country are willing to learn, being prepared before in manner to live after the law. Being prepared before in manner to live after the law. That's why it's important to live after this law and to understand this law, because the understanding of the law gives you the understanding of the whole book. With that being said, I'm going to say shalom.